What if you could see demons standing right next to a priest during Mass? That's exactly what happened to one of the most famous saints in history. And what she saw will blow your mind. Stick around because this story gets even crazier. Saint Teresa of Avila wasn't making this up. She actually wrote about this experience herself in her own autobiography. Her spiritual directors told her to write everything down, and she did. In chapter 38 of her life story, she describes something absolutely terrifying that God allowed her to witness. And trust me, there's a reason you need to hear this. Here's what happened. Teresa was at Mass one day, just like any other day, but suddenly she could see something nobody else could see. She saw two demons standing right next to the priest who was celebrating Mass. And get this, they had their hands wrapped around his neck. She immediately understood what was happening. This priest was living in serious sin, like really serious sin. But here's where it gets interesting. Even though this priest was in terrible spiritual shape, Teresa watched something amazing happen at the most important moment of the Mass. When the priest spoke the words of consecration, "This is my body," Jesus still showed up. God still came down onto that altar. Why? Not because the priest deserved it, but because of the people in the pews who came there with faith. Teresa realized something massive in that moment. God's love for us is actually stronger than our sin. Think about that. The miracle still happened. Not because the man saying the words was holy, but because God keeps his promises no matter what. This is one of those deep truths that makes Catholicism so mysterious and so beautiful at the same time. The sacraments work because of who Jesus is, not because of how good or bad the priest is. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so God's mercy covers everything. Cool. But Teresa saw something else that'll make you think twice about that. Another time, while Teresa was praying, she had a different kind of vision, and this one was absolutely horrifying. She saw a priest she knew personally, a guy who'd been a priest for years, die. And in that same instant, she watched his soul drop into hell. Not float down, not slowly descend. It dropped like a rock thrown off a cliff. Teresa said the demons grabbed him so fast she could barely process what she was seeing. It happened in a split second, but the terror of it stayed with her for the rest of her life. This wasn't some random guy either. This was someone who'd celebrated Mass for years, someone who looked like a good priest on the outside. But something was seriously wrong on the inside. Teresa never said who it was. She kept that private. But she made it clear why God showed her this vision. It was a warning, a wake-up call. She wrote that a single serious sin is way more offensive to God than we realize. And if you're living in God's grace and then you turn your back on it, that's even more dangerous. After seeing this, Teresa couldn't look at any priest the same way again. And I don't mean that in a judgy way. She felt compassion. She started praying for priests constantly because she understood something most people don't think about. The closer you are to the altar, the more spiritual danger you're in if your heart goes cold. The higher you climb, the harder you can fall. But here's the beautiful and terrifying part of all this. Even in these dark visions, you can still see God's mercy shining through. He showed Teresa these things not to make her lose hope, but to wake her up, to teach her about both His justice and His love. She realized that the same hands that hold Jesus can also hold their own judgment. It all depends on what's in your heart. And this doesn't just apply to priests, by the way. This is for all of us. The sacraments stay holy even when we're not. Jesus shows up in the Eucharist whether we deserve it or not. He forgives sins in confession because he promised he would. But, and this is huge, if you go through the motions without actually meaning it, if there's no real faith, no real repentance, the grace flows to other people, but it doesn't touch you. Every saint in history understood this. God's mercy isn't a free pass to do whatever you want. It's an invitation to change your life. It's like a blazing light that shows you both heaven and hell at the same time. And sometimes God lets certain people see the scary stuff so they can warn the rest of us. When Teresa saw that priest's soul fall, she didn't think she was better than him. Actually, it was the opposite. She saw herself in that fall. She saw how easily it could have been her. So she dropped to her knees and cried. And from that day on, she prayed for priests every single day, especially the ones dealing with temptation or hidden sins. She wrote something that hits different in our time. She said if we really understood what it means to lose God's grace, we wouldn't sleep. We wouldn't rest until we'd made things right with Him. Let that sink in for a second. That image of the two demons holding the priest at Mass is one of the most powerful images in all of Christian mysticism. It's terrifying because it shows how evil literally clings to a soul that's in serious sin, even when that person is standing at God's altar. But it's also comforting because it proves that God's mercy is so powerful that even demons can't stop Jesus from showing up. The devil might have a grip on the man, but he can't touch the host. Teresa saw that Christ's power is absolute, that even in total darkness, He still comes. He still gives Himself. He still saves. But she also saw the flip side. That same mercy becomes your judgment if you abuse it. So what do we do with this? If you're watching this and you're thinking about your own relationship with God, maybe this is your wake-up call. Maybe this is the sign you've been waiting for to get back to confession, to take your faith seriously again. Don't wait until it's too late. If this story hit you the way it hit me, hit that like button and let me know in the comments. And if you want more stories like this from the lives of the saints, subscribe and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.